Hello and welcome, as it is now the 26th of September, 2021. My name is Derek, and this is the Money Charts channel. In this video, going to go over some crypto stuff, but I'm going to talk about consciousness levels of such, where I think we are heading right now, basically, and really predictions for the future within such, and how time and consciousness should go. Overall, magnificent, but as we move in the short term, things could get very, very interesting. But that would be at the end of it. Start off within BTC, which obviously, within its very, very long run, is in a stellar uptrend. It managed to get up to this top, of course, back just recently. We had this pullback go below the 18 average on the weekly, and then just burst through it above it, and now the 18 barely declining is now barely rising. It's supporting a sideways reaction, so that's for major support in at around 30. And an attempt, especially with this comeback, if it's able to get through this and get stop at least stop the selling relatively soon. If it doesn't leg low or whatever, but if it's able to break it above, get above the 50K number, then that could make things very, very interesting, to say the least. But as it goes, this level of support here, the big down move on September 7th, was followed by several days of just heading sideways, first at this lower range, then up in here, unable to even attempt to break out, and then not finding support here, thus finding support at a new leg lower, and resisting this previous area of where we came from as of now. So if we start to see any momentum going lower, and we're starting to see a little bit, then you could make a case that this could possibly have some more further selling to come. As we lost sideways reaction in here among the four, and then this gets really choppy on the one. It's just really, now this hour here, it's making a statement. Maybe it will, just barely getting below the 18, but it's been just like meh for quite some time. I'm going to switch this up to Tezos against the Bitcoin because it's been on fire lately. 16,350 Satoshi against the Bitcoin. And this is the hourly trend in an upwards one. And on the 4, I got these fib lines in here so we can see on this time frame it came down after a decent amount of selling from the 17K number down to a little under 12. Has had a very nice sharp rally back to where it came from, and just consolidating amongst that area now for about 6-7 periods. On the daily chart, this is a spot where after this downward move, all the sideways consolidation, then it gets above the 18 on August the 23rd. Moves up to key fib, it resists it. Comes back to key fib, and it supports it. And then we go back to where we came from, and no resistance. Not making it to Fibonacci. More times than not, I'm like, oh my goodness, Pierce extra, Pierce extra, Pierce extra. And I look at it, if it was just like average lines whenever you're just a little bit off, it should be just as often you're on both sides. But we've now a couple times here been piercing below this, but we've also now came down to this level on September 21st, September 22nd, and then nice little sharp rallies ever since. I like how in the September 25th session, it was able to just hold. It is just early on. It's 22 hours left in the day. It's technically that of, we'll say 2 a.m. UTC time as of the recording of this video. And on the weekly term, we just have all this choppy action back and forth. Can be really cool. But key low here before 2020. And then it 3 times hits this 36K level. And what a large decline, like all these red candles, which was an area for me to accumulate. And now I'm starting distribution, which is pretty cool. But within such, you have coming back down, consolidating, some attempt in the spring of the previous year. No, excuse me, this year rather. May of this year. To get out, but no. And then this one here, so far doing so good. So to me, when I see something like this, not quite hitting fib, if it's going to break out, I'm now looking at 25,000 as its next level, which of course coincides with this level of support. Not right now, but usually these things, of course, do pierce extra. And of course, there's a usually and there's a usually not, I suppose, looking at this on the as we see it. And the last chart I'm going to show is HBAR hash graph against the Bitcoin, because you talk about interesting volatility. recently in the summer, this thing was like 500 Satoshi and change. It established a nice little resistance in here at like 800. I mean, this whole range is big. 485, like basically 500, up to where we are now in the high sevens, 800 basically. Even say 7. Yeah, 750. So clear break above it. And the move again, 500s up to about like 11, so just like barely double. But now it's at a comeback area. So this whole area, well, where's resistance? Well, the highest area is like 825, and then yeah, well, it's basically 637. That's the area of I like to see where it could possibly hold. Now on the weekly term time frame, this is where it gets very interesting because there's a breakout on the March. I still long sideways consolidation. So the breakout happened here. Quick move up, quick back to where we come from. If you see this, and even oftentimes what's cool is you just spend maybe the next 2-3 weeks just consolidating amongst this area. Then you start to see this break higher and you probably say, okay, now we can make a case for this thing to maybe go up in any of these areas, even over 3,000, because having like 10, 15, 20x movement, things are like ready to go, is something that these coins are able to do. So that will be it for the charts. I'm going to move on now to levels of consciousness. And this goes back to 2007, as this first came from what would be like very much woo-woo-ish, spiritual, I beyond belief to say the least, for 6 days where some sort of spirit controlled me basically, and maybe a combination of some. And I'm even thinking it was Ian Lungold, whom a lot of the information that I came across about 4, 5, 6 months later was like, oh my goodness, this is like everything that was explained to me in interesting format. So it's a combination of all that together. And as it goes, I did no one. This is like the Mayan calendar type of stuff, and a lot of them talk about 9 levels of consciousness. No, it's 13. I mean, I don't know why 13 just comes like everywhere when I was doing a lot of research within such. But it seems that it goes through 13 cycles. But as it goes, the cycles from like 10 on are like, will get really interesting to say the least. So as it goes, what was shown to me as first as a first image was back at the start on the 16 billion years ago Big Bang Theory. Imagine a huge ball, like a planet, if you will. And inside the planet, you got trillions of balls. So now you take one of those balls. And inside that ball is like thousands of other balls, we'll say. Well, make one of them, say, a color of one, and then the rest of everything is the other. And the other is negative fear energy, and the other is positive energy. So basically it's like a 1 to a godzillion ratio of love to negative. And now imagine that one small unit is putting some sort of force or fight against the negative energy. How much of will it take out in the first few days, weeks, and years? Like absolutely pretty much nothing, but microscopically something. And as time goes on, more and more would go through. Basically stating that in a few years from now, I believe it's going to go 50-50. I'll get to that in a little bit. Now within this, what happens is everything in each cycle moves about 20 times faster. So each cycle, so cycle 1 is going to be 20 times longer than 2 and continuously all the way through. So this one here is going to be a cycle that's going to last about 15 billion years, which is the first one. It's called action and reaction. And what I like to look for is what was the big events that happened at the start and the middle. And the middle is about 3/4 of the way through, when you consider the speed of how everything goes, and like basically on a logarithmic sort of comparison level. So the first event was the Big Bang about 16 billion years ago. And all this consciousness that we had was just action, reaction, nothing more. And then the planet was born 4.5 billion years ago. Cycle 2 comes in, stimulus response. So instead of just acting and reacting to everything, you just respond to it. So when you consider it, everything is consciousness. You can take something like a pen and drop it. That's consciousness. I mean, the action reaction to the drop. Now that's it. I mean, it's not going to care. It can't do anything more. It can't respond to it. And 900 million years ago, the event is living beings basically coming for the first time, at least out of the ocean. And then 275 million years ago, which was the halfway point, was extinction of a lot of animals and mass heat that would come. 42 million years ago, cycle number 3, stimulus individual response. Now, what this level means to me is, this is what I believe, whatever yada yada, of course, but I believe in the oneness, and then the oneness branches off to a whole shitload of individuals, which is like all of us, if you will. So at this point, this is where that break-off would happen. So now all of these dozens and hundreds and however many of these entities would come out. And then, of course, then what would it be? Well, dinosaurs and gorillas were the ones that came in. Of course, gorillas are the early extinctions of ourselves. And at about 2 million years ago, which is similarities and differences. So that's what we can understand what's like how things are similar and different to each other. It's as basic as it sounds. 2 million years ago, humans were born, and then Neanderthals were born 450,000 years ago. Or is that their death? Either way, I don't know. I think there was a birth. 110,000 years ago, reasoning, language. So reasoning, reason for doing things, basically. And then 28,000 years ago, humans win. Or what's win? Yeah, humans win the battle, basically. They beat the Neanderthals. They beat the Homo erectus, I think it is. But yeah, Homo sapiens. We're the only last standing of that type of race left. That's what that means. Now, I put a little bit of space in here because as it goes to me, it goes in 4 quarters. This is the end of the first quarter right here. First quarter of time. First quarter is her story in a negative energy base. And we can say maybe we're 25% positive and 75% negative. When we get to 5,200 years left, or years ago, and it took, of course, like 16 billion years to just get to that far. So next conscious level is law and rules. And 200 years ago, that was when the Bible starts, the civilization, how we have civilization of graduate cavemen, if you will, really the earliest of our human form. 700 AD, I really can't find much. A lot of it's lost history to me. End of the Roman Empire, gunpowder from China. Whatever, but next one is when we get to our time now. So approximately around 1760 AD is the consciousness of power and the consolidation of such. This is when the Americas started off with all this huge, big start over here. At least that's where I've come from. Then the 40s and 50s, 1900s that is. World War II, or you could look at the boom, because 1950s started a huge boom as far as just culture and a lot of so many different things post-war. And now we get to our time. Consciousness number 8. Approximately 13 years BE. Now, what does BE stand for? Before event. Now, it's pretty proximate that this event is coming pretty damn soon. But that's why, like 16 billion years ago and whatnot, yeah, that's how much it is. So now it's 13 years before the event. Conscious of ethics, doing what's right, kind of. Now, doing what's right might not be what's right, but what you feel is right. What you feel can be ethical. All this type of action. If you're feeling a lot of that stuff, that's because we're in that type of consciousness now. So as far as the big event, I got 2 different things. I got internet birth, and really it's starting at 2.0 when like YouTube and all these types of forms and post social media comes in. And then COVID question mark, because are we like, I mean, how many years are we away from it? Are we literally like 10, 12, whatever years away? Or are we like seriously like maybe like just years away? And I'm hoping it's years away, not like 10. But again, each one of these things gets faster and faster. Now, cycle number 9 happens 250 days approximately before the event. Conscious co-creating. Which means us as humans working together go on a monster level of creating whatever it is we're creating together. We're not really there yet, so that's why I know this time frame has got at least many months to probably at least a year to 2 left anyway, 3. So the next cycle here, now this one here, now all of this stuff came from Ian Lungold. Now cycles 10 on is stuff that came through me through 2007 event, as well as just like I say, research. Everything seems to go in 13 steps, and where the math works is just come on, really. We'll get to it in a second. About 2008, I got just through meditation. I just got this feeling, and this is just through like meditation, that this cycleness is actually that of understanding, is what we'll be doing, understanding all the shit that we've done and all these types of stuff on a conscious level. Don't know if that's right or not, of course, but that's what has came to me. So each one of these just getting 20 times faster. I'm not going to do the halfway points because what's the point in this? Everything's just so damn fast. Approximately 14 hours before the event is cycle 11. This is pretty much where we are now, like 14 hours. It's that day. No one knows a day, time, and year. Well, at this point, you know it's happening soon, but you'll never know. At least that was told to me. Actually, this whole thing is what that is. That no one knows, and you'll never know, and it'll stay that way. That is going to be like literally like gold prediction. That will always be true. No one will ever know exactly when this happened. Past, present, futures. So okay, we'll see if that's right or not. But 14 hours before is cycle 11. About 45 minutes before the event, cycle 12. And then 130 seconds before that event is cycle 13. This is where it got crazy for me. Because the next level, if you take 130 divided by 20, it's 6.5. And then as it goes, this is where I got extension. Nobody knows daytime event. And I just got XX here. Like this is like just like that big moment. I believe at this point, pretty much everyone will be unconscious one way or another, and for a good period of time, for many moments before and after this event. So it's gonna be like majority of the population that's still alive, and there might not be that many, but as far as consciousness goes, whether you're alive here or not, and that's how it is. I believe. I don't know. It's gonna be you're in this game no matter what, and this is that time of that major shift. But as we go here, this is like a big upgrade. Like you're going to go from like 35, 40, 50% love-based energy like so damn fast. But what it means in here is that you're going to have a lot of stuff happening, and it's going to be more negative than positive. So a lot of stuff dished down to us is going to be really bad, more bad than good. But it also means that if you're looking, you're going to see a lot of awesome things even during this time if you're able to be around it and find. It's just going to be harder on what would be the first half. Now, once you finish this off, then as it's been explained to me, it goes back reverse again. So we first have 6.5 seconds approximately on a negative point of view, probably going from like 46, 47% to 50% love. And then do it like 50 to 53% love, going 6.5% or seconds. And then 130 seconds, 45 minutes, 14 hours, 12 hours. So at this point, you're like 28 hours of doing all of this type of stuff. It's going to be like, well, better part of a little more than one day. And then now you're going to be on the way back. You're going to be conscious of understanding of what you can do to create on a love-based level. And then you're going to create it on a collectively, consciously. What you create, you're going to be realizing stuff you're doing that's right and wrong, and you're probably going to do a lot of change-ups, and then just moving on. And maybe everything on the way down would have been his story on a negative level. Now we're doing his story on a positive level. And then what will probably be like well over 5,000 years from now, or 5,000 years from now, will be 75% positive, 25% negative. And then we'll move back and finish it off within her story. And then as it will end, which is what they call the big crunch, as I've heard it, like 16 billion years from now, then the same ball thing will be the exact same thing now. We're going to have all that big ball of like trillions and trillions of balls at first were pretty much all negative. Then now they're going to be all positive. And there's going to be that one small negative ball at the very end. So basically the world ends, as far as I've been pretty much told, with that of perfect love.